this family is like going to be chaos, slowly learning that they actually mesh really beautifully.
Rich Jewish traditions, rich Asian traditions.
We are all so connected.
I like that my existence is political.
It taps into another whole dimension.
My favorite thing about being Asian and Jewish is I can proudly say I'm lactose intolerant as heck, okay? Doesn't matter from what gene, whatever, I just know it.
I get to celebrate 3 different New Years.
You have a resolution for the new year. If you break it, you have 2 more tries.
Because I am also Thai, I actually have the Thai New Year's as well. And my dad always jokes that our family has a new year for each financial quarter. Every quarter we get to fix any mistakes that we made or ask for forgiveness.
Also, the food is fantastic on both sides of the board.
Such good food.
And I can totally claim all of it, which is the best thing because I'm a totally food motivated person.
I'd have to agree that the food plays a pretty big role, but also both Chinese culture and my Jewish culture have both so much meaning and depth and symbolism to different foods and sayings that come up on high holy days and holidays. They're both very like poetic and metaphorical, and I think that that's really cool.
I think that I really value that I was forced to identify what really mattered to me, like what were the core pieces of my identity, what were my core values.
Yeah, like my family, like I love my family a lot, and I am happy with the cultivated identity they have formed for me.
My family means so much to me. I want to instill those principles into like whatever that family looks like for me, whether that's the family that I have or my friends, my community.
I get a very interesting mix of communities, and I feel like there's always more to learn.
It's nice to be able to have a plethora of knowledge. There's like so much to do with the Jewish faith and the culture and everything, but I can also explore my Asian heritage.
Having access to so many cultural experiences has really been special for me, particularly being interfaith. It taps into another whole dimension with my mother's faith as well as my father's.
Rich Jewish traditions, rich Asian traditions, and now they're just like intertwined in my identity, and it is so beautiful.
Just like the breadth of influences in my day-to-day life. Just like this feeling of like being surrounded by so much and like having so much in my past. I like feel doubly connected to like some greater cultures. So I'm grateful for that symbolic connection.
There's definitely generational trauma. I also think there's generational courage and generational resoluteness. Generations have persisted, and I think that's really cool to know that you're like the next in line. You're part of now a bigger story.
Even in the tenuous and like constantly negotiated ways that I am, I feel connected in a real way.
For me, it adds layers and depth to identity.
The complexity of your being when you have multiple identities that all interact, there's always stories to tell.
People ask me about my story, and I can tell whether or not they actually care about me and they want to get to know me, or they just like are curious about what am I. There's definitely on the one spectrum it's like the fetishization, but on another spectrum it's like the oh we don't see color, but like in that sweet spot people genuinely want to get to know me, and like it makes me feel special.
That's how Hashem made me. You know, like I could have been born with any combination of identities, and this is just who I am, and I am what I am. I'm just grateful that this is my unique journey, my unique path, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
My background has allowed me to see 2 different cultures and also see the similarities.
I used to just be like, oh my gosh, these cultures are so different. This family is like going to be chaos. Slowly learning that actually they're so much more alike than you think, and they actually mesh really beautifully.
There's more and more like just pride and wanting to combine identities through an intersectional lens, and I think that's like a really cool thing that I'm seeing. I see so much confidence from people not wanting to separate their identities and really like making a statement that this is who we are and just being proud.
Growing up in a somewhat confusing manner, being Filipino and Jewish, which usually you don't see go together, that complication, that instability led to me developing a lot of empathy.
I agree, empathy is bomb. It's made me a more sensitive person.
Being able to not have such like a narrow understanding of like a lot of different cultures, and being able to create community or discussion with other people based on like these very various experiences that I've had, it just feels really special.
Also, I like that my existence is political. inherently, just by like existing and like saying who I am. I'm like pushing something.
In the face of, the political climate, I mean, take your pick, Jewish, Asian American, pan, trans, like my existence and my family's existence just proves like the diversity in Judaism.
We bridge the gaps between cultures, creeds, and communities, and I really believe that this is our superpower, being able to have conversations with different people and bring everyone together because we are all so connected.
My favorite thing, besides wonderful communities like the LUNAR community, is just echoing what Alex said, our ability to really bridge the gaps and act as ambassadors, really, and help facilitate a much more diverse and equitable and inclusive America and world.
Going along kind of the superpower route, we also kind of are time travelers in the sense that we are the future of what this country is going to look like, what the world's going to look like, not just the country. We're like 3 generations ahead of everyone else, and soon these matters of cultural identity hopefully won't be as charged as they are right now, and hopefully that won't take several generations to execute. Hopefully that'll be soon, but in the meantime, we're lucky that we get to experience what it's like to relate on so many different levels to other people.
And really wanting to see others for their humanity, for their stories, not just where they grew up, but like how they grew up. What was their family dynamic like? Really wanting to connect to people on a deeper level.
We can see other people and know that what we see is just the surface of who someone is.
When I meet other people who have that same interest, it just really seamlessly forms these really beautiful relationships that are in-depth and authentic and open.
My favorite thing is probably community. Except for LUNAR, I've never been in a joint community of Asian Jews, but I have valued the communities I've been growing up. Like the Asian community I have now, I feel so supported by them, and I always felt like I had a second home whenever I visited Japan every year, and I found community like eating food with my family and going to the movies with my Japanese friends or going on Birthright. I found that beautiful community with my Jewish friends, and I feel like the idea of community connects us to our cultures and the food and people that understand you a little more, and I always thought that was so important to me.
Having identity also gives you community, and that saves you from a lot of trauma, fear, and unknowing and feeling lost or alone.
Despite the fact that a lot of us haven't seen much representation, when we do, it's so meaningful. There's basically 3 moments where I've found community. One, when I visited Kaifeng, we, for the first time, were surrounded by Chinese Jews. That was really meaningful. The second one was Kehilat, which is a Jewish community in Shanghai that specifically writes into its mission statement that they want to include adoptees into Judaism, converts to Judaism, Jews who are Jewish through their father and not their mother, who are mixed race, who are LGBTQ, and I was like, huh? Like this mission statement is so inclusive, it makes me feel so seen. And then the third one being you all and having conversation and hearing your experiences and stories, some similar and some really different from mine. Like, I guess just the fact that it's seldom, when it does happen, it's so rich and meaningful to me. So thanks to all of you.
I'm really looking forward to expanding that community with LUNAR.
I'm really stoked to build this sense of community, and I really felt like I was seen, like deeply seen and understood in ways that most people have never seen or wanted to understand. I just love this. I feel like we're a power group and we should maintain contact and do this like all the time. Hey.